Hi everyone, my name is Nina Melendez. I am the Virtual Content Specialist for Multilingual Learners and English Language Learners for Mathematics Grades 9 to 12. Today we're going to focus on Algebra 1, day 20 to 23, and the lessons focus on perfect squares. So in this lessons, we are going to see how to support our multilingual learners through visuals and breaking down what a perfect square is. We're also going to talk about how to use Desmos as a tool and what does it mean to define and to explain. So I've provided a couple of resources that you can use in different lessons, but this is an example of a breakdown of how to review your perfect squares. You can give them a list of perfect squares. There are many images on the internet. If you wish to use this one, you can do so. Breaking down what a perfect square is. Now, apart from giving them an image like this, it's good to go through it with them and have them like look at it, study it, and explain and reiterate back what they are seeing to make sure that they are understanding the concept correctly. Once you make sure they understand the concept with integers and with numbers, make sure you review what it means to be a perfect square in a variable. Now, I would provide them also with a link to the Desmos scientific calculator and make sure that they identify where they can find the square root so that they are able to also go through this lesson finding the square root of their perfect squares. So, So like I said, specifically in day 20, this is the introduction launch for day 20. It says, is each number or expression a perfect square? Is each number or expression a perfect square? Now, in this case, our English language learners might not really understand where they're supposed to explain, where they're supposed to be looking at. So a way to do this is to actually organize it a little bit differently. So this is the exact same question. Is each number or expression a perfect square? Making sure to highlight that key vocab word and telling them to explain and providing them with the link to a Desmos calculator. Now, how do I break this down? Is the expression a perfect square? Yes or no? So they're first going to have to think, yes or no, is it a perfect square? And after they've done that thought process, give them a place to explain. That way, there are very clear steps on what is expected. I'm going to answer yes or no. It's a perfect square. But I'm not only going to answer yes or no, I'm also going to go ahead and explain my thinking. So you can organize it in this way, and I would put less amount per page. I selected just a couple of the examples and use those. So this is for day 20. Remember, the key vocab can be used for any lesson which you seem fit. So another key vocab that you're going to use in these lessons, we review the perfect squares, but we also review the steps to finding the zeros. We also review the steps for finding the zeros. Additionally, we review our inverse operation, our adding versus subtracting, our multiplying versus dividing, and our squaring versus square rooting. Giving students visuals of this and having them understand that squaring and square rooting is directly tied with our perfect squares will help them be successful specifically in this lesson. So in this lesson is day 21. There is a portion of this lesson that says, Han and Jada solve the same equation. So they give us Han and Jada's equation. So then they ask the students to describe what Han and Jada did in each step and which method they preferred. So for this, especially for our multilingual learners, I would give them more space to write. So I would actually maybe either chunk this into chunks or give them like a small like organizer or a slide where they can just have space to write and they can maybe write down the steps, think of what they saw in the vocab, what is happening here, and write it down. And once they have written this down, then they can go back to this slide and actually more adequately describe what Han and Jada did in each step, and then actually evaluate and reflect on which method works best for them. one thing to point in this lesson, especially for English language learners, no matter the level that they're in, when they are describing things, they are mostly focused on that one problem. So if I am looking at Han's problem, I will be more focused on his problem. And when I move to Jada's problem, I'm going to forgo whatever I did in the previous one, and I'm going to focus on Jada's problem, because in my head, I'm thinking, let me adequately write these steps. Let me make sure that I'm understanding what Jada did. So to take it a little bit further with our English language learners, one thing to point out to them is like, what do you see about their results? To actually guide them towards looking at that, no matter that these are two different methods, the final result is the same. Because that'll help them to actually reflect on what method they prefer. They could say that if they preferred either method without actually internalizing that, oh, I get the same results, so I can choose. So this is a good segue for them to dig deeper and do a little bit more intrinsic observations while they're describing their work. I hope this has been helpful, and have a good day.